Hello there, I'm John Tanner, Editor-in-Chief for Telecom Asia. We are on the sidelines of Telco Cloud and SDN Strategies 2014, and my guest with me this afternoon is Robert Healey. He's the Marketing Solutions Director for APJ, that's Asia Pacific and Japan, for F5 Networks. Robert, thank you very much for joining us. Now, we're here to talk about how service providers can provide protection for applications and data in the cloud. So let's start with looking at what are the kinds of security threats being targeted at cloud-based applications, and where are they targeted?
When you think about it, a cloud is really just a third-party data center. And so essentially the topic is about securing the data center itself and securing data and application traffic into and out of that data center. Right? So what you really need to do there is encrypt all data in motion between the end user and the cloud. This can be relatively straightforward, or it can be fairly complicated depending on the type of the terminal that the individual is using. Right? So in many cases we're talking smartphones, tablets, laptops, and everything is mobile. Right? So you've got 3G, 4G, or Wi-Fi type communications. So there are a number of different topics involved. In addition to which, there's also the question of securing the data center itself, both securing the infrastructure, securing the applications and data that reside within the data center, and also making sure that the data center itself is secure and in particular resilient and able to resist things like distributed denial of service attacks. So there are a number of topics there, and most providers these days are doing a great job of investigating and addressing each of those challenges.
So what can service providers do to protect their cloud infrastructure against these threats?
Essentially, there are a number of things, right? So, firstly, making sure that application access is secure involves the use of SSL, right? Really, SSL needs to be present everywhere for communications within the data center itself, and certainly on everything that's inbound and outbound to the external parties. Securing the infrastructure itself and making it resistive to attacks is an entirely different topic. So distributed denial of service attacks can be quite complicated and quite sophisticated these days with botnets and various other flavors. So you need to be able to filter DDoS traffic from the pipes into and out of the data center, and black hole attack traffic, hopefully somewhere else where it won't impact the operations of the data center. In addition to which, there are layer 4 to layer 7 more specific attacks on things like DNS. Right? With the global DNS infrastructure, it's not so difficult to, with a relatively small amount of traffic, to be able to take out the DNS infrastructure. And if DNS doesn't work, then you can't get to anything. Right? So securing the DNS infrastructure of the cloud or of the service provider is another extremely important topic. Then for protecting the applications inside the data center, of course you need to have traditional layer 4 firewalls, but more and more these days, particularly for web applications, having things like web application firewalls or application-specific security technology is extremely important.
Now earlier you mentioned data in motion into and out of service provider clouds. For the viewers that are a bit unfamiliar with this concept, how do security issues differ between data in motion versus stored data?
Yeah, so data in motion essentially is a very important topic for security and for encryption, particularly these days where the boundaries of an enterprise IT infrastructure don't really exist anymore, right? With the ability to bring your own device, with the ability for business applications to be accessed and to be used on a company's own laptops or an individual's own appliance, whatever it happens to be. Being able to ensure that the endpoint itself is secure, it's running the appropriate level of antivirus software, has all the operating system security patches, the latest version of Java, etc. That endpoint security itself is very important. In addition to which, these days, post Edward Snowden, making sure that SSL is used everywhere to encrypt data in transit, particularly over wireless communications paths, is another extremely important topic.
And do these require different security solutions, or is it really two sides of the same coin?
Yeah, there's a number of different elements involved. Probably the encryption technology would be different, and so providing SSL, for example, that's something that a web server, or more likely an application delivery controller, would do as the communications or as the security gateway into and out of the data center between the terminal of the end user and the data center. Inside the data center, though, you can use various other flavors of encryption for the data that's residing on the servers. Right? So making sure that that is safe and that it's secure is an extremely important topic, as companies have to their chagrin found out occasionally.
Okay, well, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there because we're out of time. So Robert Healey of F5 Networks, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, John.